Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me here. It's a great privilege for me to speak here. And yeah, it's so great that here you have organized the event about Georgia. And there are so many people who are interested in Georgia. And this is like really very, very close to my heart. At the same time, I will use the opportunity also to thank you for supporting Ukraine. And this is also very important for each and every Georgian citizen. So we support Ukraine, and their fight is our fight as well. So, and we wish them all the best. And we know that this fight will be over with their victory. So, and thank you for supporting again. Thank you for supporting Ukraine. So about Georgia, if we compare today's Georgia with Georgia we had 20 years ago, or with Georgia when we just got the independence, so it's a different country. Definitely we have so many achievements. And especially I would talk about the Rose Revolution. This was the very important moment in the modern history of Georgia, when we all Georgian citizens said that we are not the post-Soviet country anymore. We want to build our country, we want to eradicate corruption, we want to implement democratic reforms, we want to change the country, you know. And we did this, you know. There were a number of steps, very important steps, that changed this country dramatically. And now we have the situation when the whole generation grew up in the country where they don't remember how it is to pay bribes to, like, you know, to take the ID, to get the ID, or to register the land plot, or to register the company, and so on. So this is the huge achievement, I would say. And of course, we are so much proud about all these achievements that we have now. And why these achievements were important? Because we also showed to the whole world that not to be close to Russia, it's even the better thing. So, like, you know, not only you can survive, but even you can build the very, very effective country. You can build the institutions. And this is, like, you know, this is very important to say, because, you know, the Russia's propaganda was always about that, like, you know, you can't survive without us. You know, you should be closer to us, you should be under our influence all the time, because you can't survive. But we actually show to everyone that it is possible. And not only it's possible, but, like, you know, it's better really for the country. And that's why we always bring this example. I think that we all acknowledge and understand that there were many things that we, the civil society, the citizens of the country, did for Georgia, right? So, and when talking about the candidacy status, we always, at least from the civil society, we always were advocating for this, saying that, you know, you can't look at this only recent several years of Georgia. You should look at the whole recent history of Georgia, and you will see that, you know, there was progress all the time. However, of course, we had many challenges. And now, when talking about the 12 steps previously, and now 9 steps, also these kind of requests and requirements and the conditions, these are the very good assessment. This is the very good assessment of the situation in Georgia, because what the EU is asking us to do, right? So it is to build the independent institutions, to have the like impactful reforms in judiciary, to work on corruption, to eradicate disinformation, to work in relation of polarization, to make sure that the civil society is involved in the different discussions, to make sure that the electoral process is transparent, fair, and all these things. So this is like really very good assessment of the situation. And these are the challenges that we have. I was asked to talk about the corruption and anti-corruption reforms in Georgia. As I said, again, of course, we had the achievements when it comes to the fight against the corruption. And I should say that there is no petty corruption in Georgia for many years. Again, the whole generation grow up in the situation when they, you know, even every time I have the meetings with the students and I'm explaining, you know what kind of country we had, I had to give this 10 laris to get my ID, and they are laughing at me, you know, they don't remember this, and they even do not understand how it's possible, you know, pay money to someone, the public servant, to get the ID. And this is the great achievement. When talking about the corruption perception index, yes, we use not the ranks but grades there, because there might be the several countries with the same grade, so that's why our grade is 53, which is good. It is really good achievement. However, the problem that we see here is that last year, for instance, we had 3 points less than the previous year. And if you look at the curve during all this time, you will see that it's not really changing, and now it's going back and declining. So it means that we have some problems in our system, right? And for many years now we talk that we have problems with the independent institutions. So we, of course, understand that corruption might exist in each and every country. But the problem and the challenge we see here is that there are no state institutions which are reacting and are very strict when it comes to the corruption on the higher level. Because we see that it exists in Georgia, especially now when we look at the state tenders and the abuse of the state funds. So this is what we are talking about. We think that it's very important, it is very important request from the EU to, first, to create the independent anti-corruption agency, but now also we talk, yes, we did this, we created the agency, and this is good, but then we need the functional institutions. We should make sure that the head of the institution is independent, that he's elected based on the transparent process where other groups are involved as well, that he should not be appointed only one political party. And this is what we are talking about. We really need the independent judiciary, which is a big challenge, and I should say that it was challenged with under the previous administration as well. I'm not here to talk about the problems only of this administration. The independence of judiciary was always a problem in Georgia, and the civil society was always raising this issue. But at this moment, we have 4 sanctioned judges for involvement in corruption. These individuals were sanctioned by, it was the travel ban introduced by the State Department. And it is a problem. We don't need these judges in our judiciary. We need the mechanism to get rid from such judges. When it comes to the independence of the law enforcement agencies, there also we need more reforms, make sure that they are transparent. Again, unfortunately, we had cases of the politically motivated investigations. And the last year, there was the head of the independent media, the director of independent media, arrested for nothing. He was in the prison for 1 year, for nothing. So, and this is also challenge and the big problem. So when talking about the elections, we will have very important elections this year. And I hope, and there is still time, I hope that everyone involved in decision-making, everyone who has power to change something in the country, that they will make sure that we will have transparent and fair elections in Georgia. We need to make sure that we hold the more or less high quality elections. There is no expectation that everything will be okay and excellent. Of course not. But again, the abuse of administrative resources, the secret services involved in organizing elections, the role of the watchdog and monitoring NGOs who are under the permanent attack all the time. This is very important to ensure. And we all, of course, understand that, yeah, we have many challenges, but we also see that it is so easy to fix all these problems if there is political will. Really. I mean, we had the examples when there was political will. In several months' time, we have eradicated corruption in our country. It was possible. So I think that we still have chance. I'm just optimistic that, I think the role of the media and civil society here is very big. So as it was during this Russian law, we call it Russian law, and it was Russian law. It was Russian law, really. It was Russian law to close down all the independent medias and civil societies in Georgia. And this was the purpose. And of course, it's good that we were heard. But it was also so difficult. They were using these 3 types of gas. It was so difficult to to see something after they were using this, and then, you could not breathe, and it was, and then next day, apparently I woke up and my posters were everywhere in the biggest city of Georgia, that I'm the agent and undermining the state. So it was happening. I'm not complaining again. We all understand that this is our fight. And this is the fight for our country. People, as it was said, people really understand what is good and what is bad. People are protesting against the Russian type of governing in Georgia. It is for sure, and this is the society is very mature. The media is very mature with many problems, of course, I mean, of course, I'm saying that. I'm not saying that, there are no challenges and no problems in different areas and different groups, but we are sure about one thing, that definitely we know that Georgia should become the European type of democracy, member of European Union, member of NATO. And this is this is the issue on which the 80% of Georgian population agreed on. So this is very important to know. That's why I think that the solution here is that, we, from one side, of course, I'm far from this opinion that we should put the obligation on others. No, again, it's our fight. We have the homework. We have to implement all the reforms. We have to advocate for the right reforms. We have to push the government to adopt the democratic reforms. This is what we should want this, this is very important. That's why a big part of our time is allocated to explain to the public why it's important, to explain to the public why the independent judiciary is important, why the democratic elections are important. So this is also the part of our work, not only the watchdogging, the activities. So, and I'm really very positive about this, so people understand this, although, you know, the Russian propaganda is flourishing, and some of the, from the older generation, I would say that they miss the Soviet Union. Sometimes you hear in the regions that, okay, it was so good during the Soviet Union, and this is again about the Russian propaganda that, like, you know, that, and these people were young at that time. There are many explanations why it might happen. But I would say that, again, so in spite of the fact that the Russian propaganda is flourishing, we still have this core 80% which supports the Georgia's European way, and this is very important. So I think that, yes, we need energy, we need the positive kind of approach, and we have to do our homework, because it's also not for the EU, right? So it's first of all for us to have functioning independent institutions, and we all understand this. At the same time, it's also very important to have the support from the member states of European Union and from our US partners as well. And we are so grateful for all the projects and programs that are funded by the European Union member states and the US as well. It's important to also to support the civil society, the independent media. That's also very important, but also the political support. You know, to give us the chance, because I remember there was this discussion to give the status to Georgia or not, and we were like so nervous, knowing all the challenges that we have in the country, but still, you know, also remembering all these fights that we had in the past, us and other generations. So that's why I think that the political support is very important as well. We will need the real assessment of the situation in Georgia. That's also very helpful when you communicate with the public directly. I mean, I think it's more for the politicians to, I mean, and the member states and the Commission as well, to make the real assessment of the situation, which will help us also to advocate for the right things. Because in the polarized society, you know, you don't know, like, really, and the groups are using different messages and the different assessments. If the assessment is not public, for instance, right? So that's why it's important to make the assessment, and which will help us to advocate for the right reforms and right steps. And what we will need also, of course, to focus on our elections. Again, so there are some reforms that are in 9 steps, like, you know, and I will not focus on the details, but it's about the selection of the head of the Central Election Commission, and, you know, number of reforms and steps. This should be done, definitely, but also the monitoring missions that we will need in Georgia. So it's good that the government sent the letter already to get the OSCE-ODIHR monitoring mission, but what we are asking our international partners to have more kind of monitoring missions who will make the assessment of the situation. At the same time, it's important to make the government understand that that all the assessments comes from friends. You know, it's because they are very aggressive to the assessments and the criticism. So it's important to do so. Yes. So this is actually what I wanted to say. Again, I believe that we have the energy enough to change even more things in our country. I hope that we all manage to hold good elections, let's say, good elections in Georgia. And maybe we will, next year, we will talk about the negotiations that might start with European Union on membership. I just really hope this for my country. It is really very important for us to survive being neighbor to Russia, but from our side, we will do our best to make sure that Georgia will become the member of the EU at some point. Thank you so much.